Good afternoon and welcome to our Midweek Facelift. My name is Shannon Brun, and today is June 15th. It's a Wednesday. I'm here with Reverend Doug Werth.
Yep.
I'm so happy to be here with you, man. We were here last week and we talked about the devil.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, and so...
Don't want to talk about that too much, but, just kind of let him go do his thing.
Right, and we stayed the hell away from him. Or her, or it, whatever it is.
Whatever it is.
Yeah, we stay away from that stuff, yeah. But yeah, we had a pretty good week last week. Let's start with the yesterday. We had our outreach program that we did.
down in the homeless area, down on 11th Street. And as Unity of Chattanooga, as a church that cares about people, we're small, but we're mighty.
Yeah, we are. Yeah,
and,
man.
And we try to do a number of things that are helpful in the community.
Yeah.
And one of the things is going down and working with the homeless.
Yeah.
And yesterday afternoon, it was like 96 degrees.
96 degrees.
In the shade.
In the shade. And there was a whole lot of people out there that were in need of things.
Right.
And we supplied those things to those people.
Yeah, we had a lot, bottles of cold water and food.
Ice cold.
Yeah,
Ice
good.
Cold, yes.
And, lunches that Mona and her family had put together.
Yes.
Which was a not only nice thing to do, but it takes a fair amount of time to be able to do something like that.
Yeah, we want to thank her parents for taking the time to put those bag lunches together.
Yeah, very, very much so. Mm-hmm. And it's a rewarding experience to be able to go down there and to help people. Mm-hmm. I'm not too much connected with that side of life, and that's a tough existence.
It is a tough existence. I've never been homeless, so I don't know what that's like. But I've definitely worked with the homeless in the past, and from what I see, it's definitely and it takes a lot of energy. You have to keep your level of positivity at a certain level, to be able to work with that population. You have to stay, as they call it, you have to stay prayed up.
You got that right.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, I worked in a Boy Scout camp during the summertime as a waterfront person. Teaching kids to swim, life-saving, canoeing, boating, and all that. And I lived in a tent all summer. And that was okay,
right?
Because I had 3 meals a day,
right?
And it was clean, and we had showers and all those types of things. And when you go down on 11th Street and see how a lot of these people are existing, they don't have any of that.
No, they don't. And as a matter of fact, I think the city moved them. They had a little tent city down there on East 11th Street, and the city told them that they had to move, and they actually bulldozed that whole little city down there. But they moved them to another place. You know about that?
They created another area, okay, and that area. They provide them with a tarp, with tents, mattress, and there are facilities there, outdoor, facilities, but facilities nevertheless. And there's also a 24/7 security. Now, in order for people to go into that community, they have to sign something that says no drugs, no alcohol, and that they'll behave themselves, okay? And obviously, within the homeless community, there are people who don't qualify for that.
Right.
And that's the group that I think we were
we were servicing.
With.
Because we had some behavioral problems yesterday, as we always do. But we handled them with ease and a good attitude.
Well, I think if you can keep that love energy and that service in mind, then oftentimes you can you can deal with that and you can diffuse anything that is difficult. Especially with your size and your Marine background.
No, I use my spirituality. As a matter of fact, we also have the literature that we give out, which is very helpful. I'm sure a lot of them, they pick that literature up, and I see them, on the sidelines reading lines of the literature. And I know for me, I've never been in a homeless situation, but I've been in situations where I've gotten literature and it's touched me in a way that helped me to kind of see a different way.
And the other thing we did too is. Penny had a number of some literature, Unity literature that was in Spanish, okay, and we went down. There is a Spanish outreach community here in town. It's not too far from your house where we're broadcasting right now, and I dropped off a bunch of that stuff 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So we're trying to do outreach as best we can within our resources, and I think that's very important. To help people that perhaps need a hand up, something rather than a handout.
Yeah.
It's an old phrase.
Yeah. And then we also have coming up this week, we have our, tonight actually, we have our Unity 101 class.
Yeah.
And that's for people that are, here in Chattanooga, but also that, for you guys that are visiting us online every week, we are welcome to Zoom in with us and check out Reverend Doug teach the 101 class.
Yeah, now tonight's class is, where is Unity today? All right, and there's actually 3 websites. Unity is actually 3 organizations. Okay, there's the central headquarters, which does the publishing and retreats, and that's in Silent Unity. And then you've got the Worldwide Ministries, which takes care of the classes and the ordinations and all that kind of stuff. And then we have the Urban School up in Detroit. And so what we're going to do this evening is we're going to take a look at the websites of all 3 of those.
Okay.
And then we've got two of our congregants have recently gone through those programs offered by those groups, so they're going to be with us tonight.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
and they're going to talk about
and they're going to talk about their experience and what that was like and that sort of thing. Now, I went through the ministerial program and all the prerequisites and everything over 20 years ago. So a lot's changed since then. Yeah. But these folks are relatively recent, and they'll talk about their experience and what that was like. And so that'll give you a little bit of an idea what Unity is today and some of the avenues available for online classes, or if you're interested in pursuing being a teacher or actually going into the ministry, that'll give you a little bit of an idea what's out there and how to approach that. The other thing too, for a lot of people, myself included, when I get on a website, I'm usually looking for a specific thing, and sometimes if I can't find it, then the heck with it, and I'll go do something else. So tonight we're going to walk through some of those websites, and I'll ask some questions like, for example, if I wanted to go on a retreat, how do I know how to do that? Well, here's how.
Right.
Okay, and I'll click, and I'll show you where all that is. Or if I wanted to start taking classes, or if I was interested in the ministerial program, well, here's where you need to go for that. That sort of thing. So it's so far in Unity 101, we've talked about the background. We've talked about our founders. We've talked about what our beliefs are, those sorts of things. And so now we simply need to talk about, all right, where are all those resources? So that's what we're going to talk about tonight.
And I think it's important to kind of let our viewers know the reason why we because there's a reason why we broadcast this message.
Yes.
Every Wednesday, and it's a reason why we get together every Sunday, because we really believe in the message of unity.
Absolutely.
And what it stands for. It's a different message than traditional Christianity. This is a message of positive spirituality. It's a message of what we call personal responsibility.
Yeah.
And self.
Right. Well, I think it was the Apostle Paul who basically said, find your own salvation, or words to that effect. And really and truly, the Christian message, actually the message of most faiths and most religions, is how do you connect with the God of your being, and how do you do that? Well, in many cases, just going to a Sunday service and then back to normal on Monday is not going to get you too far. I mean, it's a good thing to do. It's better than nothing, okay? But it's not going to get you down the road too far. Yeah. And so what Unity's message is how do we do that?
Yeah.
What are the tools?
How do we connect? Yeah. You mentioned last week, we had a service last week where we talked about, we talked to people that were new to Unity. And one of the things you made a distinction that we don't worship.
Well, it's not about worship.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
The idea,
it's more about connection.
Yeah. Jesus never said, worship me.
Right.
Okay. He said, follow me.
Right.
In other words, think the way that I think. Do the things that I do.
Right.
And
that's a big distinction between.
It's huge.
Yes. Yeah.
It's absolutely huge. It's, in the psychology of organizations goes something like this. You have a founder who has an inspiration, and through that inspiration and the things that he or she does, they create a following. And from that following, they create a movement. And the movement has great benefit in the world. Well, what tends to happen is sooner or later, that founder, that person who started it all, either passes away or leaves, or somehow there's a change. And what tends to happen is the followers at that point, that movement gets stuck right where that is. And so they often say, they erect a statue to the founder, They say, well, this is what he or she used to say.
They keep him on a cross, nailed with the blood coming down from his face.
Exactly.
And they wear it all around the place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No greater example than Martin Luther King Jr. If you don't know, obviously Martin Luther King Jr. made tremendous strides for against racism and that sort of thing, prejudice of all kinds of. But at the time of his death, there were incredible organizations ready to kill him, because this is too much change.
Right, yeah.
Okay. And so what happened to the movement? The movement at his death kind of, I don't want to say it stopped, but it certainly lost
momentum.
A lot of momentum.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the same things happen with large organizations. And when you take a look at the Christian message, when Jesus died on the cross, and there was the resurrection, and then
he's stuck there.
He's
stuck on the cross.
And then what happened? When the apostles stepped up, they were disciples, but when they stepped up and became apostles, and then Paul came with them, that message of Jesus became the message about Jesus. And they used a lot of the training and the beliefs that they had as Jewish people, in terms of sacrifice and baptism and those sorts of things. And
they made it about that stuff, as opposed to what Jesus was saying, which was to follow me, do as I do.
Exactly. Instead of saying, okay, well, what are those truths? How do I get them into my life?
Real quick. What were the truths? What were Jesus telling us to do? What was he telling us to do?
Well,
give me
number one.
Things. Yeah, give me three.
I'll give you two.
Okay, give me two.
All right. Love God.
Right.
And love your neighbor as yourself.
Okay.
Okay. Those are the two. As a matter of fact, there were some.
And so he's separate from God, but he is God.
Well, he's the highest manifestation of God consciousness on this planet, within the physical, what do I want to say, limitations of what we have available.
And can we achieve that if we try?
That's what he said.
Yeah, that's what he says, right?
Yeah. He said, these things and greater things shall you do.
Yeah.
And where that came about, by the way, it's in two of the Gospels, that story, but essentially some what do I want to say, Hebrew or Jewish lawyers, some say lawyers, some say Pharisees, came up to him and they were trying to trip him up, because here's all the Jewish laws, all right, so which are the greatest? And if, depending on what he was going to pick, they could criticize that, that's as a lawyer, that's what you might want to do.
Yeah.
And basically what he did is he pulled it straight out of the Hebrew Scriptures. Loving God is out of Deuteronomy 6:5, okay, and loving your neighbor as yourself is out of Leviticus. I think it's chapter 17.
What happens when a person begins to follow this kind of way of spirituality? What happens to the person when they begin to really practice what we're teaching? What begins to happen to this person?
That's
different than, if I'm putting you on the spot, you don't have to.
That's all right. I got it.
That's different than, if you follow anything, not anything else, but maybe traditional Christianity.
I'll give you a story, a brief one.
Okay.
All right.
You always gotta give stories. Go ahead, give a story.
All right. I was in the middle of my ministerial training. Okay, and so I'd been away from home for, I don't know, 6 months, something like that, and came back. And I used to run manufacturing plants, so in terms of judgmental, in terms of how it looks, in terms of the party line, in terms of discipline, but showing up on time, and I was the judge, an executioner,
right? Yeah.
And so. To a certain degree, I had a certain amount of this is the way it is. Don't mess around, type of thing.
You the boss.
Exactly.
Right.
And so, and I was never mean.
Right.
I always tried to work with people. For the greatest good, that sort of thing. But so, anyways, I had come home in Seattle at the time. And Penny and I walked out to the garage to get in the car to go somewhere. And at one point in time, Penny had something and she dropped it. Okay. And so I noticed that. I didn't say anything. I just kind of bent down and helped her pick it up and, arrange things and said, here, I can put this in the back of the car, that sort of thing. And she looked at me with owl eyes. I mean, her eyes are about that big. And I said, what's going on? She said, man, you've changed. Okay. There's a mellowness that comes in. There's a feeling sometimes when situations start to develop in your life where you react, you become defensive, you become aggressive, something like that goes on. And typically once you've developed a spiritual life, first of all, those things don't tend to happen as much.
They don't happen as much, number one.
Right. And number two, when a situation does arise, you just seem to have the ability to pause for a moment and to choose your reaction and to choose which is the best reaction. And at the same time, there is usually, for lack of a better word, there is a presence, there's a guidance, or something that is about and around you simply every moment of the day. And you tend to walk with that. You don't get as flustered as much. And even when difficult situations arise, you seem to have the not only the tools, but the depth of spirit to be able to handle it. I'll give you another story. Again, this was in ministerial school. And I was driving to another church service with a friend of mine. And on the way back, we're driving through Kansas City. And I had driven through Kansas City several different times. I knew the route's cold. There was no, I didn't even have to think about it. I knew which turns to take and everything. So on the way back, lo and behold, I had taken a wrong turn. I was on a different freeway. And as I realized that, I noticed that there was no traffic in front of me and there was no traffic behind me. And we came up to an 18-wheeler truck that was against the guardrail and was on fire.
Wow.
And there were people there helping the driver, get out. And he was a huge guy. They were getting him out, and you could see the flames and everything. Wow. And so, and I just noticed, oh my gosh, why? What am I doing here? That sort of thing. So I stopped the car to watch what was going on. And again, it was some sort of fuel tanker, and there was material running down the side of the road, and you could see the flames starting to come down on it. And I realized that this is a difficult situation. So I stopped the car and I looked at my friend, and I, kind of a pause, and she said, "Let's pray." And so we did, and we just prayed about the situation. And when we were done with that, the driver was out of the car or out of the cab, and we went forward past that. And as I looked in my rear view mirror, there was an explosion that went up 60, 70, 80 feet.
Wow.
I mean, the whole tractor trailer exploded, and we were, 500 yards down the road?
It sounds like something out of a movie.
Yeah. But
I've heard most of your stories, but I've never heard this one.
Well,
go ahead.
It happened to come up.
Right.
The point of that story is that when you have a spiritual practice, which is what your question was, things start developing in your life where you seem to be at the right place at the right time to bring that presence to bear. And I could tell you a lot of stories like that where all of a sudden
the right people are where they need to be. Everything is just
and you can bring that presence, and that presence will, just make that situation something better. So, anyways.
Well, thank you for sharing that.
Okay.
I want to remind our viewers that we are going to be live tonight between 7 o'clock on Zoom. And if you want to join us, just send us an email, and we'll send you a link to the broadcast that we're going to have on Zoom. It's contact@unitychattanooga.org, and the name of the class that we're having is called Unity 101, Living the Unity Life. And Reverend Doug Werth, who is here with us now, is going to
moderate
that class. We also want to thank again our volunteers yesterday for coming out with the homeless outreach. We had some friends join us from out of town, from Chicago. We had some people from Chicago joined us, and they enjoyed the experience.
They seem to.
Yeah. And they brought their child to kind of experience the same thing. Experience it. So we just want to thank everybody for watching us, and we again invite you to join us tonight. And do you have anything else before we close?
Nope, that's it.
Well, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week.